Welcome, my dear students. Today we are going to discuss a topic, information management. I think you know about the topic, but today we will discuss in detail. Now, it is our foundation of our topic, that is, information are for use. Every user, his or her information, every information, its user, save the time of the user. Every information system is a growing organism. It is the customization of Ranganathan's traditional 5 laws of library science, where he took the book as the element, but here information is replaced by the word book. This shows the importance of information in today's library science. Now, why we know this topic? Because today's society is information society. Information is now considered as a resource. Information produced from different sources and communicated through various channels in different formats. Right information to be provided to the right user at the right time. It is the duty of the library professionals. So information to be managed, and hence IM, that is information management, is now an emerging subject. This presentation includes these topics, that is, what is information management, key issues of information management, information as resource, information overload, emergence of information management as a discipline, information flow cycle, document versus information, prerequisites of information management, components of information management, steps of information management, tools of information management, artificial intelligence or AI and IM, AI tools for IM, and role of the librarian in IM. So, if we discuss these topics, I think it will be clear to you about the topic information management. Now, what is information management? Information management has two components. One is information and another is management. Let we know the information very briefly. I think you know the meaning of information, but just we reconsider it. Some meaningful message recorded in conventional or non-conventional media and stored and processed by systems and services with a view to providing a more or less permanent memory of the message and their dissemination to users. In other words, information is data that has given shape. It may be considered as processed data. Thus, information is data plus the meaning, which has to be a result of the human action. Then, the second component is management. What is management? American Management Association described management as a process of guiding of human and physical resources into dynamic organization units that attain their objectives to the satisfaction of those served, and with a high degree of moral and sense of attainment on the part of those rendering this service. In brief and to the point, management is an art of handling and utilizing something for the best results to the objectives for which it was chosen. Now let me come to the information management. This is the definition of information management: the systematic and purposeful acquisition of information and its systematic and purposeful application are emerging as the new foundation of work, productivity, and effort throughout the world. This was described as Peter Drucker. Then another information scientist, Martin White, he described the efficient and effective coordination of information from internal and external resources. Martin White had described information like that: the efficient and effective coordination of information from internal and external sources. Now, key issues of information management. How we can manage information. How we can manage information. I.K. Ravichandra Rao, another famous information scientist, mentioned that information management is not a new thing, but it is a sophisticated level of librarianship emerged due to some socio-economic and technical factors. He mentioned three key issues of IK. What are the three issues? The concept of information as a resource, problems of information overload, and the tremendous impact of IT in librarianship. Let we know information as a resource. Information has some characteristics which are analogous to the traditional economic resources. For example, information has fundamental value like money, capital goods, labor, or raw materials as input, which can be transferred into useful outputs that are beneficial to the society. Something that can be capitalized depending on management, purpose, achieving, and organization goals. An expense for which standard cost can be developed and cost accounting technique can be used to monitor and control. Something that presents to top management a variety of development choices. So, like other resources, information may be regarded as a resources. So, in nowadays we can consider information as a valuable resources. Then information overload, as the term denotes, the information overload. Information overload means a lot of information comes to a short span of time. A situation in which you receive too much information at one time and cannot think about it in a clear way. The information in the world doubles every day. What they don't tell us that our wisdom is cut in half of the same time. That is, there are more and more information, but we cannot process it and we cannot use it in a practical way. Now, emergence of IIM as a discipline. How information management emerged as a discipline. We know that information management is a sophisticated practice of library science. The name information management, the term information management, it was coined in mid 1980s, and two important incidents occurred at that time. That is, Journal of Institute of Data Processing Management was renamed as Information Management Journal, and ASLIP, after 50 years of its establishment, changed its name from Association of Special Libraries and Information Bureau to the Association of Information Management. So, information management is field very much important topic of the librarian of the practice of the library science. Later we discuss about information flow cycle. It is very important to know the information flow cycle for information management. First thing is the information creation. Information created in various ways by research and by other methods. And who creates the information? Authors and creators. They create the information. Then after creation, information must be published. Until and unless information is published, it cannot be communicated further. Who publish the information? The traditional publishers. They publish the information in the form of books or any other documents. Then the further process is information processed and distributed. The information processed and processing and distribution work is done by the libraries and the information centers. It is also very important because until and unless information is processed and distributed, they cannot be used by the users. Then the information used by the users. The users are scientists, technologists, and the common users also. They use the information for their purpose. Then information regenerated. Who regenerated the information? Actually, the researchers The scientists and the technologists, they use the information and they regenerated it from their knowledge and from their efficiency. They regenerate the information, and thus the information flow cycle continues and continues like a unending spiral. At Ranganathan says it, the spiral of scientific method. The information flow cycle continues and indefinitely it continues. Now, what is the difference between documents and information? You know it, but I am just saying another time that the documents are the physical forms where from we get the information. For example, the conventional documents are books, periodicals, maps, etc. The non-conventional documents are microcopy, audiovisuals, etc. The neo-conventional documents are standards, patents, etc. And the meta documents, that is unmediated by the human mind. That is the information we get from a radar. That is the meta document. So the information resides in these documents and we have to extract information from this document, and we have to acknowledge our users about the information so that they can use information for whenever they need it. Now, prerequisites of information management. What are the prerequisites of information management? Information management requires some skills. That is, first thing is information handling skill. How to handle information. Handling information means how to get information and what is information and what is not an information. This knowledge is very much important in information management. Then the knowledge about the sources of information. Information are available in various sources, in printed, in digital, in documentary, in non-documentary, various sources are there where from we get information. So we have to know, the library professionals have to know from which sources, which information are available. And then knowledge about IT. IT, that is information technology, it is a medium of communicating information effectively and easily. So today's information management is very much related to information technology. And so we have to have a very good knowledge about application of IT. Now, components of IM. What are the components of the IM? That is, what are the stakeholders of IM? First thing, the people who creates the information and who use the information. That's the people. Then policies and principle. Any management must comprise some policies and principle. That is, for information management, we have to select who has the access to what information, how to store information, how to secure the information, and how to archive and delete the information. Then technology. Technology means the software and hardware by which we can manage information in an effective way. And then the data and information itself, which are to be managed by the people, which to be managed by the policies, and which to be communicated through proper technology. Data and information is last but not the least component of the IM. Then steps of IM. First thing is the collection. We have to collect information from different sources for effective management. Then processing and storage. The collected information must be stored and they have to processed for easy retrieval. Then distribution. After processing and storage, information must be distributed. And distributed, for distribution, there are many channels, the printed channels or digital channels, and there are so many channels, and in any suitable channel, we must have to distribute the information. Then usage. Usage pertains to how the information is being used. Sophisticated information management software will take this a step further and automate some repetitive tasks via workflows. That is the usage of information. Then archiving of information. Archiving means the information must be stored for further use. Archiving denotes when information is no longer needed readily but may still need to be securely stored to be compliant with certain regulations. For example, a school may be required by law to hold alumni transcripts for 10 years before they can be retired. So archiving means the storing of information for the time being, but as and when they are required, they can be extracted from the archives. It is the role of archiving. Then retirement. Retirement of information. Retirement means just weeding out of books. That is the obsolete and unnecessary information must be destroyed after some times. Just like some documents legally needed to be retained in an archive, many regulations require for documents to be retired after a certain period. Certain laws and regulations may require that an organization retire information after a period of time in order to protect an individual's privacy. Now, tools of information management. What are the tools? The first tool is information technology. Information technology is inevitable for today's information management. It is used for storage, processing, and communication, and also archiving the information. Then the information standards. Information standards are needed to describe the information in a standard way. For example, the Mark 21, the CCF, etc. These are the information standards. Then system analysis. System analysis is a tool for information management has proved invaluable in analyzing complex organizations and solving problems resulting from organizations in conflict with an environment dominated by change and the uncertainty that inability of the accompanying state. That is system analysis. If we take process information management as a system, we have to analyze the different components of that system, and system analysis helps us to choose the correct system and the correct tools for correct process. Then bibliometrics. Bibliometrics is the organization, classification, and quantitative evaluation of publication patterns of all macro and micro communication along with their authorship and mathematical and statistical calculus. That is, bibliometrics is the measurement of documents as well as information that is published. Then work analysis technique. It is essential to analyze the operations step by step as it would facilitate the efficiency and effectiveness of the operations. That is block diagram, flow diagram, etc. Then monitoring technique. Monitoring is necessary to evaluate the weakness of the information management technique in different points. A monitoring technique is a time negotiated procedure on how allowed resources will be committed to archiving objectives. For example, operations research, MBO, network analysis, MIS, etc. These are the very popular monitoring techniques. Then evaluation techniques. Evaluation of any service, process or activity in management is usually refers to determining its worth. In information management also, we have to evaluate each and every technique, how they are related to information management and how they are effective for information management. Then the traditional techniques like classification and cataloging, they are also related to information management because by classification, we can arrange documents and we can locate documents and we can retrieve documents, and by cataloging, we can list up the documents of a library, and on the other hand, we can extract information by locating the correct document. So the traditional tools, classification and cataloging, are also necessary tools for information management. Now, application of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, as you know, a collection of technologies that allow computers to perform tasks that are typically done by the humans. AI uses algorithms to analyze data, understand language, and make decisions. So, AI can be a very complementary tool for information management. Now, what are the functionalities of AI in IIM? First thing is data categorization and tagging. Data categorization means automatically categorize and tag documents based on content using machine learning to improve search accuracy. Then semantic search. Understand the meaning behind the search queries using natural language processing or NLP to provide more relevant results beyond the keyword matching. That is semantic search. Then information extraction. Extract key information from documents like names, dates, and locations using NLP techniques. These are the information constituents, that is names, dates, locations, etc. And AI by NLP techniques can extract this information quickly from the documents. Then document summarization. Generate concise summaries of lengthy documents to quickly grasp key points. This is very much necessary for information management. Then anomaly detection. Identify unusual patterns in data that might indicate the potential issues or security threats. That is, if there is any anomalies, then the AI tools can detect the anomalies. Then personalized recommendations suggests relevant information to the users. It is also very much necessary for information management. If we use the traditional source like Google, etc., they can suggest based on our recent searches which document we have to search for our requirements. This is called the personalized recommendations, and this is also necessary for information management. And these are some AI tools related to information management. That is Salesforce Einstein, Microsoft Azure, IBM Watson Knowledge, Guru, Nomax, etc. etc. There are so many tools, but we have mentioned just a few tools for information management. Now come to the point, that is role of librarian in information management. The traditional role of the librarian is to provide right information to the right time at the right user. So in information management, librarians have a very vital role, and librarians are doing their duties of information management from very beginning. The first thing is choosing the information, that is know your users and which information is relevant for which users. This is used, you can use very relevant tools like user study, etc. for this purpose. Then collecting the information from proper sources. There are various sources of information, and they contain different types of information. A librarian must know the appropriate sources for appropriate information. Then evaluating the information. Information, they can be achieved, they can be got from different types of information sources. But a librarian must have to evaluate the information. Which information is authenticate, which information is not. He or she must know this. Then processing the information. Information must be processed in different tools, by different tools, so that they can be used by the information users. And dissemination of information in various channels and various formats. This is also very much important for the librarians. And then archive and retain the information. The librarian must have to take proper decision for archiving and for weeding out the information. It is very much essential. So librarians, They are the essential part of information management in any institution. Now it is relevant to discuss about knowledge management. Now, as you know, information and knowledge are not the same ideas. So, the information management and knowledge management are also not the same. Knowledge is related to the capability of using the information in the right way. And knowledge is also dependent on the information utilization ability of the human brain. Two different individuals may not have the same knowledge, though they have accessed the same information. Now let we see the characteristics of the knowledge. Knowledge actually based on the understanding of a particular subject. It is also based on the experience of the human beings. It is the application of information to solve a problem in a different situations. Knowledge may be explicit or tacit, and more important, the knowledge is dependent on the personal traits of the human beings. As I have discussed earlier, that the two different people may have different knowledge, though they have access with the same information. Now, the components of the knowledge management, if we discuss the components of knowledge management, we have three different components. One is people, that is the human being himself or herself who are accessing the information. Then the process. Process means the utilization of information in different problem situations to solve the problem in the best way. And the technology. By technology, we can store the knowledge and we can handle the knowledge and we can share the knowledge in different situations. Now, why knowledge management is important? Knowledge management is important because the institutions may same different problems in different times, and the human beings by their knowledge they have solved the problems, and in future if the institution face the same problem, then the institution can use the knowledge as used to solve the same problem in the past. So knowledge management is very much important for the institutions. Information management ensures the access and availability of information, whereas knowledge management is related to the utilization of information in proper way to reach a particular goal. So, information management is one of the component of knowledge management, but knowledge management is very much complex than information management, and the knowledge management should have some different policies and procedures from the institutions. So, knowledge management is also very much important and it is not a byproduct of information management. So, we may conclude that information management has emerged to handle information more scientifically. Information management follows some principles. Information management has some tools, both traditional and modern, and librarians play vital roles in information management. So, information management is a very important in today's libraries, and until and unless we manage information, we cannot use information, and if we cannot use information, we cannot reach our goal. So information management is very important in library field today. Now these are some assignments, that is what is information management, why information management has emerged as a new discipline, what are the components of information management, what are the prerequisites of information management, what are the steps of information management, what are the tools of information management, and how librarians play a role in information management. You just try to answer these questions. You can use this presentation or you can use any other authenticate source for these assignments. And these are some sources for your further readings. So thank you very much.